All right. Well, welcome. Happy Friday to everybody. I was out last week, so it's been 2 weeks since I've seen you. I'm really glad to be here for today's live stream. Today, we're talking about a few pieces of news. I've got news about, let's see, Chromecast with Google TV doing some expansion, Amazon Fire TV kind of encroaching on their territory a little bit, on Google's territory a little, and I'll tell you more about that. We're talking about Netflix's new strategy. We're talking about the Roku channel, which I'm basically what I'm going to do is show you a list of some upcoming titles that the Roku channel is adding. Normally, it's not the kind of thing that would make the live stream as we're talking about news, but it's so impressive that I think we should talk about it just a little bit and what the Roku channel is uh, seemingly able to do these days. So, welcome to my slightly messy studio, and let's get started. Okay, I'm gonna say hello to everybody in just a few moments, but let's start with this one. We're gonna talk about uh, Google TV versus Fire TV. Okay, now when I say Google TV, I'm not talking about Android TV. I'm talking about the Chromecast with Google TV. Okay, so here, let's start with this one here. Okay, let's see, let's full screen that. And here's the headline for us. Chromecast with Google TV expands to 8 new countries in Europe 2 years later. Okay, so why are we talking about this? Well, first of all, let's scroll down, just see what they say. Okay, so it's basically going to cover a lot of like Western and Northern Europe. So Austria, Belgium, Denmark, Finland, Netherlands, Norway, Sweden, Switzerland, they're all getting the Chromecast with Google TV. It's been 2 years since it came out. So why do we care? Why do we care about this? Well, first of all, it is interesting. I mean, if you live in one of those places, but this is a U.S. centric channel. So why am I bringing this up? Well, just to say that I've always loved this device, although it has declined in importance for me over the last 2 years. Kind of came in with a splash, really impressed me, and I do still like it. Don't get me wrong. If you're thinking about a new streaming device, you could do far, far worse than the Chromecast, the new Chromecast. But they kind of made this big splash and then nothing. Like we didn't really hear anything about the Chromecast with Google TV for quite a while. So now they're making a push to get into some European countries that they weren't in before, and that's great. But let's talk about this one now. Xiaomi launches a ridiculously cheap range of 4K Fire TVs. Okay, TVs with Fire TV built in. And you can see they're launching these first in the UK. We get the price list here, the 55-inch, usually £500. Now that it's 75 off. So yeah, we can see the prices there. Again, why do we care? Because this is a US centric thing. Well, it's kind of just it's an indication of what we may see happen in the US market as well. Now, this is interesting because if we look at, as 9 to 5 Google points out, this was supposed to be a Google TV partner. And Fire TV is encroaching on their territory. And it just kind of goes to show how dominant the two major players in the market are, Roku and Fire TV. Obviously, Android TV and Google TV have their market share, and it's nothing to sneeze at. But Fire TV continues its dominance. I mean, Roku, I think, might still have the slightly larger market share, but between those two, it's a solid 80% maybe of the market. I'd have to look at the numbers now. But anyway, I'm curious to get everybody's take on this. Have you used the Google TV Chromecast? Have you used it? Do you like it? Do you prefer Fire TV? I'm really curious to hear what you have to say. So hit the live chat over here while I go over there and say good afternoon to everybody. At least most of you. If you're on the West Coast, it's still good morning. But for the rest of you, Socrates, William Mack, Joey, David, Frayden, Epix, Andrew, Arcelia, Angela, TJ. All right, you're all here. So glad you're here, guys. Like I said, I was out last week, so it's really nice for me to get back in the game. But you know what? I had a really nice drive last Friday. Yeah, while I would have been doing this live stream, I was driving from Salt Lake to Portland. It's 11 hours straight through, and I enjoy road trips like that. So it was a lot of fun. All right, so let's see. Well, first of all, Robert wants to know, am I your oldest fan? 80 years old from New Orleans. Started out with my beloved web TV. Wow, that all right. Yeah, that does take me back a bit. Um, I don't know. I there are some videos on our channel that are really great kind of answers to questions that tend to be asked by our older audience members. So there's one that I kind of tossed this video out there thinking like, hey, it was something that kind of it bothered me a little bit. Maybe people will like it, and it was how to set up a device like a smart device on a 2.4 gigahertz connection because a lot of routers don't let you choose which connection you're going with. And so I had this little trick for how to do it. It doesn't matter what it was, but so many of the comments that I've gotten on that in like the last 2 years since I did it have been from folks who are clearly a little bit older and struggling to figure out that technology, much like I did for a little while. So, yeah, no, I'd like to think that we appeal to a broad range of viewers, but I'm glad you're here, Robert. Let's see. TJ prefers Fire TV. David says Chromecast is great, just needs more storage. Couldn't agree more. I think that was always its number one issue. You load up a couple of dozen apps, and some of the bigger ones, something like Disney Plus and Netflix, they take up a lot of storage space. Something like Twitch takes up a lot of storage space. You load up a couple dozen apps in your outer room, and you compare that to your Fire TV or your Roku. Like my Roku TV, I don't think I've actually reached its limit yet, but at one point I was at like 140 apps, and it was like, yeah, sure, fine, whatever, 140 apps. So no, I think that's always been an issue. Let's see. So TJ, I'm curious. Do you prefer Fire TV? Tell me why. Um, is it just because it's what you're used to, or do you have? And that's totally fine. Don't get me wrong. My question is, do you have some sort of objective criteria for why Fire TV is better than Google TV, or is it just I know what I like and I like what I know? I think that's totally valid, honestly. Let's see. Chromecast with Google TV all day, every day. Team Google. Team Google. Let's see. Frayden. I've always been a Roku and Apple TV 4K person. Have both in my home. Fire TV and the ad banners in the menu turned me off, but I never tried Chromecast, though it does look like a good device. Yeah, it is. It's a great device. And that was always the thing that threw me off with Fire TV as well. And it still does a little bit, but I've kind of you learn to just tune it out after a while. And I think I've kind of learned to tune out the ads. Although it was about 6 or 8 months ago, maybe more. Gosh, time is a flat circle. I'm old. I don't know when it was. They updated the Fire TV user interface, and when they updated the interface, it did make the ads a little bit less of a pain in the neck, which was nice. But yeah, no, that was always something that kind of ticked me off as well. Let's see. Socrates has 5 Roku devices. Wow. Okay. Epix was looking for me last week. Sorry, buddy. Yeah, I was. Let's see. At this time last week, I got to do my math. I was in probably like Pendleton, Oregon, because I started at 5 a.m. All right, so let's see. William Max says, I like Roku streaming and Fire TV both. I wouldn't want to go without either one. They're the only two I have. Okay, and I think this is pretty common. Like Roku and Fire TV definitely are the big ones. And then you've got those like Frayden, who's got the Apple TV 4K. If you're a mega Apple person, it's kind of hard to go without it if you've got everything else set up on Apple devices. So I do hear about that one pretty often, but I don't hear people say often. I'm not saying never, but as often, I don't hear people say, "Oh man, I've got 4 Chromecast with Google TV, and I love them, and I never use anything else." In fact, I might be the only person I know I'm the only person I know of. I might be the only person I've ever heard of who has um, multiple Chromecasts with Google TV. I have one for testing out here in the studio, and then one for my kids on the TV that they use inside, because I love the parental controls that you can put on there. All right. Okay, so this is all right. So TJ says I'm more in the Fire TV ecosystem with the Echoes, with Prime, etc. And yeah, absolutely. And that's how a lot of these devices work, right? It's just like with the Apple that we were just talking about. If you're a big Apple person, then it's easy to fit that into your ecosystem. And likewise with Fire TV. With Google TV, I haven't noticed as much of a draw with that, but that's probably because I don't have a lot of like smart Google stuff around. I mean, besides my phone. But yeah, we have Echoes around the house. But to be honest, I haven't integrated those beyond like kind of the testing phase for a little while back when I plugged them in. I don't really integrate those with my Fire TV sticks or the Cube or whatever. I just use the remote, at least these days. Okay, so Epic says used to have a Fire TV, or I have used a Fire TV. I like it, but a couple things I don't like is the limited storage, the amount of pre-installed apps they put on it now, that they put on it. Now I'm using an Apple TV, much better. Yeah, Apple TV doesn't do as many pre-installed apps. But on the other hand, so I guess the question is, what is most convenient to you? Do you want to do the work that's required on an Apple TV to populate it with all those apps? Or is it okay for Fire TV to say, hey, look, here are the 10, 15 most popular apps. You're probably going to use these. Let's just put them on there to make your life easier. And I think a lot of people would like that as long as you can delete the app. Now, I understand there would be some apps that you wouldn't be allowed to delete. If there's some functionality that they provide to the device, they wouldn't want you to delete it. But if they preload the apps, it's easier, I think. Well, I mean, give or take, it's probably easier to remove them from the device than it is to hunt them down and install them on the device. So either way, but it's fair. Let's see. Fire TV. Okay, so my horse ate the kid. All right. Use an OTA antenna, that's over the air antenna. And the format allows me to incorporate Pluto and Sling into the channel guide. Yeah, absolutely. It's really cool. And I don't know if you use an antenna, what's the shoot, you guys, what's the Fire TV? What's the Recast? Yeah, Fire TV Recast, I think it is. It's like a DVR for your like your antenna, your live TV. So, yeah, if you're into the Fire TV ecosystem, you might want to take a look at that too. Let's see. Oh, see, there you go. Jay says, yeah, it needs more storage, but I still have 1.8 gigs left. Plus, I only have 6 apps. There you go. Hey, and you have 2 Chromecasts. Hey, that's good to hear. All right. Jay's making sure I'm not alone here. That's what I like to hear. All right. Yeah, William Max says, I'm liking the sound of that. The OTA antenna, Pluto, and Sling. Yeah. When you can wean yourself off Sling, oh, you'll be so happy. I mean, maybe you're using it for sports or something that is ongoing, but I'll tell you what. Once I got rid of live TV, never going back. Never. Oh, interesting. I had Apple TV, but the remote is what made me switch to Fire TV. I now own about 6 of them. Wow. Okay, there you go. And yeah, and once you've got 6 of those, so I assume that's on different TVs peppered around the place. That's one advantage to Fire TV over Apple TV, is that you can actually do that and not be, go bankrupt. Right? If you try to buy 6 Apple TV 4Ks, that would set you back nearly $1,000, I think, these days. So, oh boy, oh, we've got a streaming nut here. No kidding. All right, I haven't even read this yet. I have 9 Rokus, 3 Android TVs, 3 Fire TVs, and 1 Apple TV. Roku is the best, Android next. Apple TV is expensive, like I said. Fire TV sucks the most overall. I don't know if I agree with that. The thing is, we're like, there are streaming devices that suck. That is a thing. I'm not the kind of person who will just cheerlead for the sake of cheerleading, believe me. But when we're talking about Fire TV, Android TV, Apple TV, and Roku, we can throw Google TV into the mix if we want to separate that from Android TV. With those, like, they're all really good. You can have your preference. I do. You do. Everybody in the chat does. We all have our preference. But they're all really well done interfaces, good ecosystems, good devices for the most part. There are a few Roku devices and some Fire TV devices that I won't recommend, not to mention some of the cheap Android TV stuff. But no, anyway, my point just being, when you say Fire TV sucks the most overall, I think it's totally fair to put them at the bottom of the list. But for me, it's like, there's the list of the top streaming interfaces, and then there's like everybody else kind of hanging out at the bottom. So, can I convince your wife to go off of live TV? Yes. Yes, I can. Given the chance, yes, I can. There is nothing that she or you or anybody is getting out of live TV outside of some sports that you can't get for free elsewhere. Nothing. Yep, I'm sticking by that. So, TJ's never used one, but I am curious. Yeah, you should be. Oh boy. You say there are bad streaming devices. Name the worst streaming device you've ever used. This is a great question. The worst streaming device I have ever used. I got to think about this for a second, but it might be. Oh shoot! What was the one that I feel like we just talked about it 2 weeks ago on the stream? The last time I was live. It was the one that Sling TV put out. They called it the Air TV. Air TV. What was it? It would have been like 2016 probably that came out. I want to see if I can find an image of it, because I showed it last time. No, that's a really small image. Here we go. Maybe this will. Oh, geez. Okay, well, open the image. Okay, here we go. This majestic piece of machinery is the Air TV from back in 2016. So Sling put this out as their own streamer, and I just have to kind of laugh at it now. It was slow, it was clunky, the remote was awful. It looked like a toy. Like we joked that I think even in my review, I was like, it was designed by Fisher Price. So it was just, it's not like you couldn't watch things on it. Of course you could watch things on it, but it was hilarious to use. It was pretty bad. And the interface that they built was obviously Sling centric. And so like you hit the home button and that took you to Sling. And you had to work to get to the menu, and it was just not great. Not great, Bob. It was the very first device that I ever reviewed for this channel. And so, I did my best to give it a fair review, but when you're just starting out, you don't know what you don't know. And, if you were to put this device in my hands now, I would probably savage it. Like I said, I always try to be fair. And one of the philosophies that I like to use here at Reviews.org is uh, it's that everything is right for somebody, which you can take too far. There are things that are just not good for anybody, but for the most part, like I was saying with those, the Fire TV versus Roku versus whatever, like everything is right for somebody, and so it would have to go pretty far down the road to like down the crappy road for me to be it to call it an actual piece of garbage. But this was kind of a garbage device. Kind of yeah, kind of bad. Kind of bad. Um okay. This is yeah, okay. So do you think Apple will really announce a cheaper Apple TV at their event next week like everyone is saying? Um They should, but I don't know, and I don't put a lot of stock in that stuff. I sometimes the chatter comes because there are people in the know who have the scoop. Totally happens, and we may get that announcement. However, there are also people out there who like to write these articles and put they kind of put the tweets out or however they do it, that they're just making stuff up, hoping to be right. Because if they are, they look really, really smart. And if they're not, they're just like, oh, well, I guess what I heard was wrong, whatever. Um, and if you think that people in my position don't just make stuff up sometimes, I don't. Um, no, I don't think I've ever made anything. No, of course not. Why would I? But yeah, people do make stuff up to try to. They want the clicks, they want the clout, they want they want to be able to say, "Hey, I called it." So that does happen. Who knows? I don't have any inside sources telling me whether there will be a cheaper Apple TV, but yeah, I hear the rumblings, and we'll see how it goes. It would be nice. It would be smart if Apple did that. At least from where I'm sitting, I think it would be smart. But they're the richest company on planet Earth, probably largely because they don't have me making their decisions. So we'll see. Uh, College football and a few shows is why I watch live TV. Yeah, I'm kind of well, except for the few shows, but college football I do like. Um, but yeah, yeah. All right. Oh, I think I missed there. Oh yeah, somebody help me out. Pardon my dumb question. Isn't Google TV and Android basically the same OS? It is not actually. That's a great question. Actually, it's not a dumb question. They're both obviously Google properties, and Google TV is based on. It's built on Apple, or sorry, it's built on Android TV. But no, they're not the same. At least the experience is not the same. I'm just looking to see if there's a screen grab that I can get from anybody. Android TV versus okay. Um See if we can get okay. So here's a couple of examples. So this would be if we're looking at this. Oh gosh, that's really small. Sorry guys. Let's see if I well, let me blow it up. So this would be I don't have my screen share going, so I can't actually pull it up on my TV and show you. But yeah, this would be Google TV that concentrates on this for you right here, where they've got a lot of really great recommendations. And you can see your apps down here, but um, they're kind of set down a little ways. Uh, or you can go over to your apps here. Really, it concentrates on the content itself. Versus if we look at, there we go. If we look at Android TV, this one puts the apps a little more front and center, and then goes into recommendations and whatnot a little further down. So it's just a little bit different layout and a little different emphasis on how they do things. So no, not a dumb question at all. I like that question. Um, what's your favorite streaming apps from Roku? Well, if you'd like to know, Chucky, go on our channel. In fact, let's see if I can pull it up here. Um, do okay, let's go to Here, you know what? Let's just go to your channel. Here we go. All right. If you go to our channel here, if I click on this, then I'll start getting real echoey real fast. We don't want that. Uh, but you can go. Okay, so our most popular video of all time was this one: top 10 free Roku channels in 2021. And the one, I think it was 2 years before that, was when Sabby, she was my intern at the time, and she made some really great videos. So best free Roku channels there, top 10 free channels there. Let's see, Fire TV, Roku Tricks. But yeah, if you go up here on our channel, click this search bar, not this one. This searches all of YouTube. If you go up there, but if you come down here to this search bar, you go. You could do something like top 10, and let's see what comes up. So yeah, we've got the top 10 free channels. Let's see, the top 10 streaming apps of 2021. That's going to be kind of on every device. And then if you keep going, there should be some like hidden gems. There we go. Something like this. Try these videos as well. Top 10 free hidden gems on Roku. That's the ones where, it's not Netflix, it's not Disney Plus. These are the ones you haven't necessarily heard of before. Some of them you may have, but yeah, that's what I would want to do that's what I would do if you want to know what my favorite apps are, the ones that I think you should have on your device. Try those ones. Great question. Have I reviewed the DirecTV Smart Box? I have not. I haven't. I have done Xfinity's because at the time I was still their customer when they came out with the Xfinity Flex, and so it was easy for me to get a hold of that one. But I haven't done the DirecTV Smart Box yet. But I should at some point. Okay, so Gene says my wife loves the original Air TV player. That was, let's see, I closed that window so I can't show you again. But I was kind of ragging on it before. To be fair to Gene and Gene's wife, I haven't used it since 2016. It may have a bunch of updates. It may be a lot better than it was. I'm simply going off of memory there. So who was it that asked? Yeah, Epix asked, what are the worst? What's the worst streaming device I've ever used? If we go with more recent history, the On brand, ONN period, because the period matters, from Walmart. It's the Walmart branded stuff. They put out two streaming devices, and they're both ultra cheap. Or I shouldn't say ultra cheap. They're both very cheap. They had the streaming stick for, I want to say, $20 or $25, and then the box for 30, and that was like the 4K box. And when I reviewed those, I was shocked at how bad the stick was. The box wasn't great, but it was usable. Excuse me. Wow. But it was usable. The stick was nearly unusable to me. So I guess more recently, I would choose that one. All right. So where were I apologize if I have missed some comments. I know I can't answer every single question you guys throw at me, but I do try to, at least address to some degree what you guys throw at me. Okay, let's actually move on to something here that just a couple of stories that I thought were kind of interesting, and then I'll come back. So if I missed your comment, when I get back to comments, maybe you can copy and paste, throw it back on there. But let's take a look at this one here. Behind Netflix's leaner movie mandate: bigger, fewer, and better. So the gist of this, and again, this is one of those things where I'm just kind of bringing it to your attention because I want to get your take on it. I'm not going to read the whole article for you, but you can go check it out. It's from the Hollywood Reporter. But this is kind of what we're after: bigger, better, fewer. That's the refrain inside Netflix. So basically what they're saying is that the era of Netflix doing mid-budget, just like spewing out all the mid-budget things they possibly can, that era is probably coming to a close very, very soon. And they're taking a look at Disney Plus and HBO Max especially, but also probably Apple TV Plus to a certain extent. And they're seeing what these other streamers are able to do. Oh, Paramount Plus, I shouldn't forget them. They're putting out a lot of big budget content, and they're figuring out what movie distributors figured out, 15 years ago, which is that, yeah, the audience for tiny, small to mid budget films is just kind of drying up. People don't seem to like that as much anymore. And so if people are going to go to the movies, and that counts now at home as well. Like here at my house, we're going to have family night tonight. We're all going to sit down and watch a big movie here on the screen. That's movie night. So what attracts people to movie night? It's the big stuff. Superheroes or movies that star people who play superheroes, in other franchises. Um, that sort of thing, that big budget stuff. I just went and saw Top Gun last night. Oh, sweet. So fun. But that's what gets butts in seats at the theaters, and that's what gets subscribers going for streaming services. And Netflix is kind of figuring that out. So expect to see more. Oh, yeah. Okay. Expect to see. Oh, no. Sorry. I was like, maybe they're going to say exactly what I was going to say. Yeah. Just look for more of the big, big stuff from Netflix in the next few years. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. And frankly, I'm all in for that. If Netflix wants to, they tried to reinvent the wheel, and it turns out they didn't really need to, and it didn't. Uh, Maybe it's too early to say, but it seems like it's not working out for them in the long run. Um, so yeah, we'll see how it goes. All right. One more. I got one more for you guys, and that's this one. Roku channel is adding 26 free movies in June. Here's the full list. All right. So, like I said at the beginning of the stream, why am I bringing this up? This is the kind of thing that I normally would skip right over. I'm not going to talk about it on the stream. Who cares what's being added to what services? But the reason I'm bringing this up is because of how good this list is. I'm not saying every single movie is going to appeal to you. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying the popularity of these titles, whether they're older or newer or whatever, is pretty striking. Okay. And it's what's more striking is that it's the Roku channel. This is the kind of list that I would have expected to see 5 years ago, or 10 years ago on Netflix. Like, oh, you got what movie? Oh, geez, I'd better sign up. And of course, with the Roku channel, it's free, right? It's commercial supported, but it's free. So it's really interesting that they're getting these. Okay, so let's get the full list. Um, Action movies. Oh, well, first of all, there's an exclusive movie, Apache Junction, which I don't know much about. Um, but free action movies, Independence Day, Taken, The Expendables trilogy, because of course that's a trilogy. The Maze Runner, Speed, Karate Kid, Transporter. Like these are not nothing movies. Do you remember there were the days I can see people talking in the chat about, how much they love Pluto TV, Frayden saying, Pluto TV is the best free streaming service. There's Tubi. Tubi was kind of the first one that made a splash as a free streamer. But with those free streamers in the early days, like when Tubi first came out, it was full of just kind of garbage. Like it wasn't good. they would have like 5 decent titles and then just thousands upon thousands of hours of schlock. And that is just not how it is anymore. You log into Pluto, you log into Tubi, you log into the Roku channel, and you get some serious titles. Okay, so free drama movies, Castaway, Signs, Tombstone, Fight Club, American Sniper. Again, big names. Pretty Woman, The 50 Shades, Meet the Browns, The Waterboy, Bridesmaids. I love Bridesmaids. That's one of my new classic comedies. It's so fun. Napoleon Dynamite. I live about 2 hours from, not even 2 hours from where they filmed Napoleon Dynamite. It's almost where I grew up. So that's always a fun one to watch. Juno. That was my first date with my wife. There you go. There's your Craig trivia for the day. 2008. That was my first date with my wife. Was to go see Juno. And then a few TV titles as well. Anyway, point just being, it's kind of incredible where the licensing momentum is shifting. Where you kind of expect all these all these titles, whoever owns them, they would just like hold on to them. No, it's not leaving HBO Max. No, it's not leaving Disney Plus or whatever. But they're still licensing this content out. And they're licensing it to the free streamers. And this is why I do those, the top 10 free channels or free apps on fill in the blank, Roku, Fire TV, Chromecast, whatever. I do those videos fairly frequently, in part because I want to highlight the free apps. Because with stuff like this, oh, you know what, you guys, I'm so sorry. You couldn't even see that the whole time I was talking. um, but the reason I highlight it is because with content like this, you don't have to pay for entertainment. There is hours of diverse entertainment here for you. There's really, really good stuff. So yeah, I like to highlight the free stuff. Anyway, curious what you guys all think of this. Oh boy. Oh, we got somebody coming in hot. Netflix is done for. Barry Peacock and Hulu next. Okay, well, we're done with that one. That got a little weird, didn't it? All right. I see I should really read through these before I put them on screen, shouldn't I? But you know what? Sometimes I get lazy. All right, and I just want to hear what you guys have to say, so I start reading them with you. Without Tommy Boy and Animal House, the list is dead to me. Fair enough. I just rewatched Tommy Boy like 6 months ago, maybe, and 100% holds up. Love that movie. Animal House is funny, but it was a little before my time. So let's see. Depending on how old your kids are, the new Chip and Dale movie. Yeah, I have heard that one's. That one sounds a bit like the Sonic movies, or what was another one recently. But basically, the gist is this movie is better than it has any right to be, and that's kind of what I get from the Chip and Dale movie. Let's see. Yeah, this is a good point from Andy. Netflix had to build a content library when its licensing deals ran out. Exactly. Yeah, if you log into Peacock, you log into HBO Max. Like, right, HBO Max has the Warner library. Peacock has the NBC Universal library. So they just kind of automatically have hundreds of titles, thousands of titles, many thousands of hours of content just built right in. You just have to build the app and populate it. Netflix, not so much. Right. Yeah, they had to crank out a ton of content, like you say. So now it's changing its strategy. Makes a lot of sense. Yep. All right. So sometimes, says Paul, I want a dose of schlock. And don't we all? That's like a sci-fi or horror film that really should be mocked by Mystery Science Theater. They don't all have to be Babette's Feast. No, I do agree with that. But as you say, sometimes I want a dose of schlock. The old, I think you're referencing what I was saying about Tubi and Pluto and whatnot earlier, where that was all it was. So there was no break from the schlock. And now it's like, yeah, you can dip into that if you want to, but you don't have to. So, all right. Yeah, okay. Again, from Andy here, Pluto was independent, so was Tubi. Or no, was Tubi ever independent? I can't remember. Pluto used to be Viacom CBS. It still is, right? Yeah. Or no, like you say, owned by Paramount. I don't know. These things change so often. I have a hard time keeping track. But regardless, yeah, they bring a lot of good content with them when the big guys move in. There are plus sides to it for sure. Let's see. Oh, interesting. Does the Roku channel on Fire TV get app updates? It feels like an older version. That's a great question. I haven't actually looked into that, but that's something I should keep an eye on. I tend to use the Roku channel on my Roku, because that's what the TV is. It's a Roku smart TV. So I haven't compared. I'll pop in when I'm using my Fire TV, or if I'm making a video on the subject, but I haven't compared them side by side. You know what though? We could right now. You guys won't be able to see this, and I'm sorry about that, but I'm gonna go over here to my. Let's see. Let's go to the Roku channel. Yeah, let's see what happens. So I'm gonna pop into the Roku channel. I wish I could like turn my webcam. Doesn't really let me turn it. Okay, so that's what that looks like. Oop. And then I've got my Fire TV. Okay, so we're gonna go back to the home page. There we go. Okay, switch the input. Turn on my Fire TV. And let's go to my app list. And we're going to the Roku channel. So does this look any different than it did before? Very, very good question. I am seeing almost exactly the same thing. Okay, so that's that. If I pop into the Roku channel here on the Roku, yeah, there are a few. There's like a left-hand menu. Okay, so yeah, now I got to pop back over, look at, see if they've got that left-hand menu on the Fire TV version. I know, riveting entertainment, you guys, as I look. But I do want to answer this question. It's a really great question. Yeah, you know what? I think you're right. Psychotic Shine. I don't know what that means, but I think you're right. They do have an older version on there. We could always go to our app list. If you're on your Fire TV, this is old remote, but still counts. Go to the app you want. You hit the little menu button right here. And I'm going to go to more info and see. Nope, I don't see any updates available. So, yeah, I guess they're using an older version. And you can understand why. You want people to see it, appreciate it, like the content, whatever. And if it brings over some, like a marginal number of people from Fire TV over to Roku, great. But yeah, you want your best experience to be on the Roku. It's kind of like how like Apple builds their internal apps on the iPhone to deliberately not play well with Android. So like texting, for instance, texting from Apple to Android, especially in group text with emojis and whatnot, like it gets to be messy. And the whole point is, yeah, we want you to be able to do it, but we want you to know that your experience would be a little smoother, a little better if you switch to Apple, got your iPhone. And a lot of people do. They can't take the pain. And it's a difference. It's a large difference in degree here. But yeah, they're probably prioritizing the Roku channel app on Roku. Makes sense to me. So, all right. Oh boy, anytime Frayden says, "Oh, truth," then I gotta figure out what you're talking about. Oh, somebody's saying Signs is a classic sci-fi. Yeah, that's it was a well-made movie. Was that like the last really well-received M. Night Shyamalan title? I have been enjoying Servant on Apple TV, but he seemed to have made a few stinkers in between. All right, guys. So we're going to start wrapping it up. I'm going to start wrapping it up a little bit early because I do have, unfortunately, a lot of work that I have to do today. And like I said earlier, we have family movie night tonight, so I got to get the work done before family movie night. So I'm going to give you a few more minutes. If you have any more questions, comments, whatever, let me know. I will respond to a few more things before we call it quits for today. Let's see. Arcelia, have you ever done a review for Mi Box? I have two. They're okay streaming devices. I haven't actually done an official review of them, but I've used them, I've demoed them, and I just didn't feel like it was needed. Like nobody was asking for a review of the Mi Boxes. At least that was at the time. If that's different now, then shout it out. What that way? Shout it out. Let me know. Like, oh, you got to do a Me Box review. Let me know. But yeah, I haven't prioritized it. It's kind of for the same reason that I don't do a lot of stuff around the NVIDIA Shield. Now, it's different because the Me Box is like like you said, it's an okay streamer, but its market share is tiny. I don't do a lot of stuff around the NVIDIA Shield because its market share is tiny. There just aren't that many people who are looking for answers or looking for views on those. At least not from me. uh, but I do a little bit with the NVIDIA Shield because it's awesome. Like, it's a really deluxe streamer. And so like, it does float up on my list a little bit more readily than something like the Me Box does. Oh, that's right. uh, let's see. Recently renamed Paramount Global. Yeah, we'll see what happens with it. It's the kind of thing I can't predict that. There are certain things I feel like I can predict in the industry. This is not one of them. Let's see. What's the difference about Chromecast and Roku? Roku is the best. It continues to be the best intro to streaming device out there. It's the simplest one, easiest to navigate, easiest to understand. And it doesn't allow you to do some of the advanced features that you would get on a Chromecast or a Fire TV or an Apple TV. But for most streamers, for the bulk of people out there, they don't need the advanced stuff. They just need something that will let them watch Netflix or let them watch Sling TV or let them, whatever. That's all they need. And Roku is amazing for that. Chromecast is different because, obviously they have a different interface, but they also have a different concentration. Where Chromecast has always, like in the last couple of years since the new Chromecast came out, the new Google TV Chromecast concentrates on recommendations for you. So the more you watch, the more you use it, the more you rate the content that you watch, the smarter that algorithm gets. So that right on that front page of the Chromecast, the idea is you'll find something to watch really quickly. So, if you ever sit down on the couch and you're like, oh, I'm not sure what I want to watch, but I'll look around until I find something. And then 45 minutes later, you're still scrolling through Netflix. Oh, what am I? And your brain just kind of shuts off. That's what they're trying to avoid. So those are some of the big differences. How's the weather out there? It's actually brilliant. It's very nice today. Let's see. Oh yeah, thank you, Sylvia. Like your video about how to clear cache on Fire TV. I clear my cache every night. Every night. Wow. Okay. And more power to you. For me, that would be overkill, but go for it. All right. Rip just missed it. What, the live stream? You still got a couple more minutes left. Let's see. Other than the remote, is there a reason to purchase the 2022 Roku Ultra versus the older model? I already have the Voice Remote Pro that I'm using on my old Roku. I wouldn't worry about it unless it does have some updated, like an updated chipset, and it has capabilities. Did the old one do Dolby? I think the new one does Dolby. Anyway, there are kind of like cases on the edge for users who have a very specific niche. Hey, just take a look at the features on both and see if the new one has a feature that you wish the old one did. But for the most part, again, that's on the margins, right? For the vast bulk of us, for the 99.9% of us, you've got the remote, you've got the Ultra. The old one is still a great device. I wouldn't worry about this. I don't know. That was a kind of a rambling answer, but it's not worth upgrading just for the sake of upgrading. it's worth upgrading if it has features that you wish you had and don't currently. But yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about it. When are we going to get a tour of the stuff tucked into the bookcases behind you? So, as many of you know, well, there's a blanket on the. Gosh, I need to clean that table off. As many of you know, I run a podcast and YouTube channel called The Legendarium, and we talk about sci-fi and fantasy books. Largely, I mean, we do movies and stuff too, but it's kind of a book club, and so that's basically all that is just you can't even see most of it, but it's I don't know, closing in on 1,000 titles, fantasy and sci-fi stuff mostly over there. So, all right, did you hear about Peacock interface soon? Like an update? Might have to finish that one. Let's see. Does Chromecast or Google have better channels? Or Chromecast or Roku have better channels? These days it's a toss-up. In the earlier days of streaming, if you asked me that 4 years ago, 5 years ago, Roku was the undisputed king. They had the most channels. They had the best channels. It's kind of like if you're a phone app developer, you develop for the iPhone, and then when you've got that done, then you go ahead and build your Android based app. But it's built for the iPhone. It was the same way 5 years ago with Roku. Roku had such a stranglehold on the market that that was what you built for. And so, when Netflix made their app, when Hulu and Pluto and ESPN comes in, whatever, they build it for Pluto, or sorry, they build it for Roku first. That isn't quite the same now. Most things are available on most platforms. So there are outliers. The one that really gets me to this day is Twitch, because there's actually a big StarCraft tournament going on right now that I'm missing. And Twitch is not available on Roku. So you'll run into a few things like that where this one-off app isn't available somewhere, but it's not much of an issue these days until mom and dad start fighting again, and Google and Amazon get in a spat and they take the app off their competitor's platform, whatever. But right now, not an issue. What do I think about the PlayStation Plus and Premium? I don't much. I'm not much of a gamer. I've got the PS5 behind me to play specific games, but I don't do a ton of multiplayer. So I don't have a ton to say about it. All right. I always assumed the shelves were filled with trucking-related content. You guys, I am currently wearing my Holland Assets podcast shirt. So yeah, I actually host and make a lot of content, a large breadth of content. So yeah, there isn't no trucking-related content in this studio. That's for dang sure. Yeah, it's weird to me too. That is very, very weird. Okay, guys, I think I've caught most of the comments, so I'm gonna call this one for today. I was gonna abbreviate it by 10 minutes, but it looks like it's gonna be more like 5 or 6. But thank you so much for coming for today's live stream. Love having all the interaction with you guys. And I should be back next week. I'm not planning any big road trips or anything, so next week, 2 p.m. Eastern, right here on this channel. Don't forget to like, subscribe, yeah, whatever other YouTube things I'm supposed to say. Smash that like button. I don't know, whatever. Thanks for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I will see you next week.